Hey, yo, this is a new episode of the All Time Podcast. Listen to these guys, they're awesome.
If you pressed play, that means you are in tune with what we do at the All Time Podcast. What I need you to do now, if you haven't already, is to press like and then press subscribe so that you can know when these episodes are out, so you can get in tune with all the music that we want to review and that we want to talk about. I am your host of the All Time Podcast, Mr. Steven All Time, with my co-host this evening, part of the Straight Edge Society, shaved head, Mr. Flip Phone Derek, looking like CM Punk 2010. No?
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Sure.
You're on a roll.
Even though CM Punk is looking jacked as of lately, I think my man has found a secret stash of Mexican supplements. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Derek All Time.
How you doing? I feel like you're my long lost child that I didn't know I had. And then finally,
Steven and I are a year apart, by the way. There ain't no children here, so.
And I feel like you just appeared. How are you doing? I love the mug. I love the hair. Did you get a nose ring? Is that new?
No, didn't had the nose ring since like 2010.
Can you get a lip ring so you could look more like CM Punk 2010?
You know what? You're not the first person to bring that up. So we'll see.
Before we get into why we're here, I wanted to get a lip ring, like the thing that you have on your nose, but on my lip. Pause.
Yep.
Just to take off people when they look at my horrendous hairline, to be like,
okay.
The guy looks cool with a lip ring. Let's forget about looking at that horrific hairline that he has. The guy still looks cool.
Yeah.
But I mean,
hair, hair comes and goes, man. Like, it's one of those things. Luckily, my genetics have it that, like, I do okay. But you know it is whenever you start getting our age, starts getting a little dicey for a lot of men out there. So yeah, I always told myself the day it's gonna happen, if it does happen one day, I'm just shaving it completely off and I'm going bald. I don't give a shit. I'll look like Kratos from God of War. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I'm gonna look like the other guy, part of the Straight Edge Society, when I shave my head in the next couple of weeks.
Luke Gallows?
Yeah.
Steven, by the way, is like 5'8". There ain't no way he's Luke Gallows. Actually, you know what? When you talk shit, you're like Festus. Going way back, for those of you who know, Luke Gallows is Festus.
Yeah.
When he was one of those, I'm not going to say it on this podcast, but Vince McMahon made him a simple man until the bell rung, and then he just turned into a vicious animal. So for those of you who don't know, just Google Festus WWE.
Yeah, and you'll get to know exactly who he is before he became Luke Gallows.
That's correct.
Derrickson, a lot of music has come out. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like anxiety has taken over my life like it does every other day. I feel like I am losing sleep. Malenko is not here. And the reason Malenko is not here is because he is overwhelmed with the amount of music that has come out. Friday was a crazy day of new releases. We have Rome Streetz, Suck It to My Pocket, that we'll be reviewing in the next episode or two. We have the new Gangrene, Alchemist, and Oh No, Better Than McDonald. We have two albums. I haven't listened
to that, but I'm looking forward to listening to that one.
Yeah, you should check it out. We have the two albums that we'll be talking about on this episode. What else came out? Like, in the world of hip hop, anything that you want to add?
Not necessarily in the world of hip hop. In my world, Motionless and White released a new album. Boundaries released a new album. And I believe last week, Bring Me the Horizon dropped a remake of Count Your Blessings. Count Your Blessings Repented, which is, for those of you who are fans of Bring Me the Horizon, it is by far their heaviest metalcore only album with some crazy ass fucking titles and names to their tracks. A lot has been coming out. It's been it's been challenging to split the professional listening of this podcast and the personal listening
It's tough.
outside of this podcast. It's a lot. It's a lot, like it's a lot of especially for, I guess, for me, since hip hop by default is not quite my genre. It means that whenever I want to actively listen to stuff, I got to put myself in certain moods of like, I have to listen to like the hip hop, and then I have to kind of switch my brain in terms of listening to the metal. But yeah, it's okay. I've been doing it for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the hang of it, I guess.
I want to add 2 albums. Ras Fresco came out with a new record, which is called, I have it here. See the brain. Ras Fresco, Y equals Self. That is a project that came out that I'm digging. And we have also D Stallone with Virtuoso that came out. For the people out there that want some authentic hip hop, that want some old school 2000s hip hop, if you feel nostalgic, if you feel like you're missing something within the world of hip hop, please go listen to that D Stallone Virtuoso album. If there's anything that's coming out right now that doesn't sound like it's coming out right now, go listen to that D Stallone Virtuoso. I am having an amazing time with that record. 1 minutes. I hope we get an opportunity to review it. But yeah, that's a record that's heavy in my rotation. Now, you know what we do here. We review albums. We talk about albums. We give our honest opinion. We got 2 records that we want to talk about this evening. Malenko's not here. Derek's here. So let's talk about these records. The first record that we are going to talk about is the new Action Figure and DiMaggio Polo Grounds. Baseball-inspired album. If you look at the track list, it's all baseball-inspired, except maybe the song War Memorial that we will get into, that I think is the highlight of this record. And I'm going directly into saying that it's the highlight of this record. But when we think of Action Figure, we think of wrestling themed, right? We think of the mask. We think of ad-libs. We think of just the way he approaches, the way he breaks down his bars, how slick, how upfront and center he is. And I want to say I was shocked with this Polo Grounds record. Polo Grounds is also a series of iconic stadiums in Manhattan from the 1970s and the 1980s. Speaking of the baseball inspired, we start off with the intro, and then we start off with the second highlight. And I would say one of my favorite Action Figure songs of his catalog. Now, I got this record before a lot of other people got this record, and I keep it to myself, and I don't like to share it with people. Sorry, Derek.
It's okay.
But the first time that I heard Butch Husky, I was like, this is how I want Action Figure to start his record. That bass line. It gives you a vibrant beat with background guitars. I find that the mastering and the mixing of just that song in particular is crisp. It's clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
You know what I mean? Like, I learned from Vince McMahon to know when to pivot and make a better scheme.
Yeah.
Like, I find on here, when we talk about braggadocious, when we talk about making an impact, when we're talking about talking shit, thinking that you're the best, this is what I want from Action Figure. Butch Husky also being an outfielder in baseball for the Mets. This is how I want an album to start. We're so used to intro, right? All the hip hop albums give us intros, right? They give it's the regular thing, right? Getting an intro.
Yeah.
on a record, it could get very, very, very redundant. But to me, and I'll give you the word real quick, to me, it's what comes after that.
Mhm.
Right? If it's not impactful, then I'm already lost on the record.
Yeah, I get it. For me, I've said this before multiple times on this podcast. For me, um the whole intro thing to hip hop albums is, I know it's a culture thing, and I know coming from a different music genre, I know it's a hip hop thing. It's a hip hop based thing.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of albums that do in any other genre that really give you a straight intro of like nothing happening, and they just kind of like lull you into the sense of what the album will bring you. And I'm still having trouble in terms of getting used to it. You know, especially on a 9 record, 10 records, 7 records. Some albums have been really short in the last few years. For me, the intro just feels like it feels like a lost track. It feels like a track where you could have given me something else. And most of the time, I kind of discard it because then the album truly starts at the second song, and then I just feel like it's a waste. Um, unless that intro is carefully curated and there's production from the producer and there might be like an input from the actual artist on the album, then it's fine. But it's been lately a lot of like a sample of a speech from a movie or another song or an
Mhm.
interview, or in this case, a broadcast. And I understand why it's done. It's made to add value to the album. It's made to reinforce the theme of the album, which is baseball players, and so on. But it still feels like a lost opportunity to have another good action figure track.
Mhm.
And to your point, I wouldn't have been upset had this been an 8 song record and it would have just started with Butch Husky.
Mhm.
You
Well,
know, I would
Buchesky
have.
is perfect to start off an
Yeah, I
album.
wouldn't have been upset at that. I like when I don't mind an intro. I like an intro where it's still a song.
Mhm.
That's just how I see it. And Butch Husky is great. Um, like you said, the production is crisp. I really have no notes for the production on this whatsoever. It's crisp. That's the good thing about Action Figure, is that we've been complaining on some records lately where maybe the production or the mixing isn't great, especially concerning like a few artists that it seems to be their thing of that more muffled, really underground kind of basement sound. The thing about Action Figure is, though he's in the underground hip hop space, the mixing of his albums and the production of his albums have always been crisp. It's
Mhm.
always been like crisp. It's always been very high quality. You could pick that off a shelf. You wouldn't know it's underground hip hop. Yeah. And I really have no other note to say on Butch Husky. And personally, you said it was your number 2 highlight
Mhm.
of the album. For me, my number 2 highlight of the album is Ken Griffey Jr. Was Never a Yankee. Love that track. Love the hook in there. Love the production. To me, that's my number 2 on this whole album. I just love it. I love the theme that he's got going on, and like you said, Action Figure is really good at getting like those ad libs and those little hooks in there. And I think for me, that was a great showcase of that as well. I don't know
Yeah.
what you thought about it, but
Uh, Ken Griffey Jr. Was Never a Yankee. I like the production behind
okay,
there. I
okay,
like the eerie type of beat that kind of switches off from Butch Husky.
mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a horror beat
Okay,
that we get on here.
mm-hmm.
It's not a long track.
No,
He does his thing on it. The thing with this record is I think Action Figure feels so good in his skin that to the point in his career right now, being there for 3 years, being consistent with his music, he feels comfortable and he could literally call people out and feel and say that he's bigger than everybody and better than everybody.
mm-hmm.
He has that wrestler's mentality when he's rapping.
Yeah, he's also been doing it. He hasn't been releasing music for a long time, but in the span that he has released music, he's probably released almost as much, if not as much, as the next guy in terms of just his body of work in the last 3 years. I think there's a few guys that really come to mind whenever you think about all the projects. I think he comes to mind. I think Ferris Blusa comes to mind. There's a guys who have been releasing a lot of project, and it's good for him that he has that confidence to be in that space and release and know that his projects have been that impactful and that good that no one really holds a candle to him at the moment. He's his own person. And like you said, it's the wrestler's mentality. It's the most of the time, the best thing about a championship run is the moment right before they win the belt.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Action Figure has that energy. He's cutting those promos. He's untouchable right now. He's going after the champion, and he has that kind of confidence of like, I'm going to get the job done. To me, that the next question I have is really, when's going to be his WrestleMania? When's going to be the moment where he holds that title, where he holds the belt? Because all his albums they've been good. Personally, for me, I don't think there's one of them that's stellar. And I think for me, that's what I'm waiting for. There's kind of like a build-up with Action Figure of like, he's doing all the right things. He has the right production. He has the right albums. But what's going to be the album that it's going to be, the mic drop? The one album that you're going to listen to it in the year, you're going to be like, that's in the top 3 of the year. Bar none. I'm still waiting for that personally from Action Figure, but I feel like he's still putting in quality work, just waiting for that I've got the belt now kind of album.
Yeah, and I think, look, I love Doom Was Right, and I love what Harley Race would do, the project before this, and he stood his own, like he literally stood his own in Supreme Machines. I just think it's the producer behind it that's really gonna make that mic drop type of album, and he had that with the Machacha record, because we both reviewed it. It was just me and you reviewing that record, and to me that was like a Doom Was Right was that mic drop. You want that championship run, and I felt it with the Machacha record, the most interesting man in the world. And I feel it on what Harley Race would do, but I think it's the producer behind him that is gonna make him have that WrestleMania win for sure. Showdown at Shea.
At Shea.
At Shea?
I believe it's at Shea. Anyway, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, so it's one or the other. Correct us in the comments.
Exactly. Action Figure will probably correct us.
Probably.
Those are 3 historic professional wrestling events from WWF in New York. And this is 3 matches. And I read this up because I was actually interested. I actually looked up all the titles. I love looking up titles. I like being interested in what's going on, because it tells a different story to what he's trying to bring forth that people might just skip over because it's hip hop. But there's a lot of interesting stuff that goes on when creating a record. Pedro Morales versus Bruno Sammartino, Andre the Giant versus Chuck Wepner, and Hogan versus Andre. That happened in the Shea or Shea, whatever you want to call it, stadium. I'm still calling wrestlers by their Vince McMahon slave name. Cactus Jack,
that line was
bang,
hard.
bang.
Was hard. Yeah, that line was hard.
Over a very low piano beat. Action Figure, we said it. He sounds hungry. He sounds loud, and he's front and center.
Yeah,
and he showed that on this track. Lou Gehrig's Disease is next, over more of a churchy type of hymns, God chants type of beat. I'm praying my competition gets Lou Gehrig's Disease. See on here, that's that hungriness. That's that I'm just shutting down everybody. I don't want to hear anybody. I'm better than you type of thing.
And with the little soprano, I think it's the Sopranos at the end to close out the track. Which if you know, you know. I don't know how many times the Sopranos has been used in hip hop in general, but at this point, it's got to be the most used samples in hip hop history.
Oh
to use the Sopranos on tracks, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, anytime you want to talk mafioso, anytime you want to talk just anything that makes a statement, you go with a Sopranos.
Yeah.
The Mask Made Me Larger Than Life. Again, when you're a wrestler, when you are trying to make a statement, there's something about you that stands out. But that bar, the mask made me larger than life. There's something at the end of the album that we'll get into real quickly, that kind of shows us a different perspective, a different life, a different light of Action Figure. But before that, I want to talk about Pete Rose and the production on there and the atmospheric type of beat that he comes off and he's able to rap on. And I love that because the kind of like that's the beat type change of like, oh wow, there's a beat like this on here. More energetic type of beat. I found Axe sound amazing on here. Best thing to happen to rap and wrestling. And he puts that front and center. Again, talking about the way what he's talking about and what the themes of the album are.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of 067 Red.
Okay.
I find that I can't understand on here what he's saying. I find his volumes are very off. I found that he sounded better on the Supreme Machines. He has a type of voice that is very hard to mix. Now, is it because his tone of his voice? Is it because he's rapping so fast and saying so many things at the same time? But I just find that he doesn't fit on this song. Right?
You're not incorrect. I didn't mind it. I think it adds a certain type of value. And I'm glad that most of the features were kept, like the 2 features were kept towards the end of the album as well. I think that's kind of like a nice way to like turn the album from like the beat that was there in the beginning to something maybe a little bit lighter and a little bit more fun and a little bit more high energy towards the end. I think that's a good way to do it. But to your point, it is difficult to
pick up,
hear and pick up and understand him. He's not the first one, and he won't be the last that we have a little bit more issues or difficulties understanding him.
Yeah. But look, him starting off the track and then finishing off with Action Figures, the top dog.
Yeah.
I like that. I think I would have less agreed with the song or not have liked it as much if Action Figure would have started off that song. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Now we're going to get into the last 2 tracks of here. Now, song 8, song 9, War Memorial, featuring Brother Tom SOS or SOS, whatever you want to call it. Again, something I always get mixed up with. If we remove the mask, if you will look deep inside of Action Figure's soul and who he was, this is I want to call it song cry, or it's just a very emotional song and we see Action Figure in a different light of losing one of his best friends, somebody that he was friends with, somebody that helped him with his music career, who was there part of his musical journey. And to me, it's an amazing song. To me, it's a beautiful song. And sometimes we don't expect something like that on a record in hip hop or in, like sometimes we're like, we want to know more about our artist that we're listening to. We want our artist to be more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes things need to happen to them for us to get a different light of who that person is. And we had Action Figure on the pod where we did speak about War Season, but hearing a song about it was a beautiful thing. It's a farewell. It's a salute to his brother for his inspiration and what he's done for his musical career. And I love that about an artist who's able to put this together. And Brother Tom did an amazing thing with adding those vocals.
Yeah.
It just made it more memorable. It just made it more
impactful.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's a great song. Inspiration is inspiration. It comes in different forms. Yeah, it's always tough to lose someone, especially someone who's been impactful on your career or impactful on your life. We all lose people. It's the circle of life. It'll never go away. Um, and kudos to people who are able to keep that memory alive, either through their work or through their life or through tracks. And yeah, yeah, it was just a great track. He did his thing.
Yeah. And then we get into Relief Pitcher, which is a great way to end off. Like he didn't go into a song that really was different, right? He kept it into the same emotional aspect, you know, which is almost like an open book type of song where he's just again being different, getting action figure in a different light. It's like people don't know who I am. The mask hides me, but there's a lot more to who I am as a person and as an artist.
Yeah.
And we need to discover that. And I thought that, to me, that's my number one highlight is those two songs back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and DiMaggio did a great job with the production on here. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. The way everything came together, there wasn't one that outshone the other. If it did, it was maybe just a little bit more action figure. But I think that was the whole reason for the album as well. Yeah, it just felt fresh. It felt interesting. Definitely a project that like you're gonna revisit without like too. You're not gonna think about it too much, unless like when you get to the end of the album, then it's a little bit more. You're gonna pick up on a little bit more stuff just because it's a little bit more interesting to my ears. I don't get me wrong, I do love like big boy braggadocious talk, but I do like a little bit more down to earth stories or how he got here more than anything. Yeah, it was a pretty good project.
I'm gonna go and give my score, and then I'll hand it off to you, Derek. I'm gonna go with a solid 7.5 on 10. 24 minutes, 9 tracks. I'm happy that Act is not doing EPs and he's doing albums. Again, I always want more. I always want 10, 11 songs. That's just me being just me and wanting more from my artist. But I found that the structure of the album and the way the album flowed was really done well. The album cover by my bro Craig Dyer. Like, god damn it. Why does Craig Dyer always need to make a good album cover? Can you make a bad one so I don't have to listen to or buy the album?
You wouldn't have a job.
Like I just love, and I love the thematic about it. It's always action figure dressed up as something or just having to do with it. It's amazing. It's amazing action figure as a baseball player with a baseball bat, with the barbed wire, with the blood, always integrating wrestling somewhere. And it's those little Easter eggs that maybe not a lot of people pick up on, but I pick up on it because I know my fucking wrestling, and so does Derek. But the baseball bat with the barbed wire and the blood. Craig Dyer, you're a genius. Thank you. 7.5 on 10. Action figure and DiMaggio, Polo Grounds. Derek?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm not too far off from you. I think for me, this can be a 7. It's not a bad album. It's not a great album, but it is an enjoyable album. It is something I'll revisit later on in the year if ever I don't know what to listen to and I feel like listening to action figure. I feel like this is a very approachable album that a lot of people could probably enjoy. Nothing's offensive about this. Nothing stands out. Nothing is too funky, too flashy, too proggy or anything like that. It's just a good solid hip hop album.
Absolutely. Let's get into our main event of the evening. We don't do a lot of 2-album reviews this year. That's something Malenko likes to steer away from. Yes, I'm calling you out, but we needed to. And the last time we reviewed this artist, I was in favor. I was guns blazing. I was looking at you guys. I was like, "What? How could you not like it as much as I do?" Right?
I remember. And you know what? Like it's going to be similar on this episode, but not quite. And it's going to be similar of like this was really enjoyable. My gripe with the first time I listened to this artist is still going to be the same thing. It's once again, it's not has nothing to do with the artist for me. It's just not a subject matter that I'm used to. That's
Where
it.
to me, I
Yeah,
love this subject matter, and
exactly.
the intake of this subject matter to me is I love. And I'm going to explain why on the review. We are talking about Dun Dealy from Feed the Family, completely produced by DeevoDaGenius, Zingtones. Cortina, if you watched last year, I was in love with. I thought it was amazing. When I got into Zingtones, I'm like, look, listen, two things are gonna happen. I'm really gonna love this record, or I'm gonna fucking have to force feed it to Derek and Malenko. Malenko's not here. I don't want to force feed it to you, but I gave it to you. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about it. The intro again. We talk about intros in hip hop. I want to skip the intro. I just want to go to Fetty Galore real quick. And we know the subject matter after we listen to the intro. But the beat on Fetty Galore, the way the song starts, it's almost like you feel bad for Dun Dealy for what he is doing.
Okay.
In his story and his storytelling.
Yeah.
It's almost like he makes you feel bad for what he's doing and what he's giving out to the Zings. It's almost like you like, man, I feel bad for Dun. But the thing is, it's a love and hate. You know what I mean? He knows what he's doing is wrong. But there's something about him that pulls him back in.
Every time they get me out, they pull me back in.
You know, he's missing Zings while he's on vacation. It's like he's fighting his demons of not being there and not having to do that. But he's there and he does it. And he feels good about it at the end. The thing with Dun Dealy and this record and just Dun Dealy and the projects that he gives us, to me, I love the storytelling. Mm-hmm. To me, I love the storytelling. I find that if we're talking about the same subject matter, it's how you present that subject matter throughout your album. Right? And he does that. To me, he does that. Mm-hmm. I think he is a really good storyteller.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. I think for me, though the subject matter is just not my cup of tea in general, I think his charisma and his personality really come through in the way that he delivers that subject matter. He puts on a performance. It's not, rarely does it feel monotone or it feels bored or missing energy. He always has high energy, high passion, just drive for the subject matter he's putting forth. So even though like it's not my cup of tea, he still makes me listen just by the overall energy and charisma that he brings to the tracks. And he starts off really strong and he ends really strong as well. It's steady. There's no, unless the subject matter kind of shifts, there's no flat parts in a Dun Dealy track or in a Dun Dealy album. He always has that high energy. In a lot of ways, he kind of reminds me in terms of overall energy a little bit to like a Danielson, just minus the rasp. Just that hunger, that energy. Do you listen to a Danielson album? You know it's Danielson. He comes hungry, he comes aggressive. Dun Dealy has that same kind of aggression. It feels a little bit more controlled. It's a little less in your face than a Danielson track or a Danielson project, but you could tell that like he's passionate about what he's saying. You could tell he's got charisma. You could tell he puts on a performance in the studio, and it really shines through. And I think Fetty Galore, it starts off with that like right away, and it doesn't really stop from that point on, to be honest.
No, and if you look at the production, if you look at DeevoDaGenius's production, there's a way of how he breaks up the album. The beginning of the album is the music is very background. It's very Like the instruments that are there
Mm-hmm.
are the instruments that are front and center. Like if you look at Soul Train and those violins playing throughout the song.
I love the production on this album. I absolutely love it. I think to me it's a massive standout of this whole project. I love the production. It feels like a 70s, 80s soundtrack, Godfather type ish.
Mhm.
There's eerie moments, but then there's suspenseful moments. There's tension. It feels epic. It feels grand. It feels movie theater soundtrack, orchestra, kind of setting the mood.
Opera. It's like the
Yeah.
opera. Sorry.
And
Yeah,
I think you were mentioning it to like Fetty Galore of like it made you like feel a certain way. And I think that's why there's music in movies. It's made to reinforce an emotion that the scene is trying to bring out of you. Some of the best movies in history also have a matching soundtrack. Very rarely are we going to have a movie that critics and fans and people say, oh, this is one of the greatest movies of all time, and the music in it wasn't good. It's almost never happened. And to me, this showcases that almost at the highest level I've heard of just the production absolutely giving you the emotion of what you should feel on a certain track. And it feels big, it feels loud, it feels epic, it feels, yeah, I keep going back to The Godfather. The same way that like in The Godfather, whenever a scene is supposed to have tension, there's tension in the music, in the background music. This album is a great showcase of that.
Yeah.
It's from that perspective, I think the production is near flawless on this.
Yeah, and I want let's continue talking about the production. When I'm listening to this, that opera feel, I get that. I get that on here. The instruments are live. The instruments are in your face. I don't feel like he's using 20 instruments. I don't feel like he's using that many instruments. It's really based on that instruments and the emotion that Dun Dealy and the storytelling that Dun Dealy is giving to you. It fits perfectly. There's songs on here that it feels like I'm walking in a dark alley.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you noticed on here, and this is a standout to me, this small little thing is a standout to me throughout the whole album. You hear a vibration. You hear a phone vibrating.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Dun Dealy is not picking up that phone because he's fighting his demons to not picking up that phone and answering his zings and answering those fiends. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more to the project than just the storytelling. There's a lot more to the project than just him talking about zings. Dude, it's not easy to do something like that. You know what I mean? So he's like, why is the phone keep vibrating? Why throughout the whole album? Why does the album end where the phone is vibrating?
Yeah.
You don't hear picking up this phone. We'll get into Stuff Money afterwards, but Zing Emotionless. The beat has no emotion. It's simple.
Yep.
But it fits for Dun Dealy's storytelling. The most impact that track has is the scratches.
Yep.
Right? And I didn't expect that song to have scratches. It almost doesn't make sense to have scratches, but it adds a value to it.
Yeah.
Now,
without ever taking away from still that soundtrack vibe and energy kind of feeling. Sometimes scratches, they're kind of like front and center on a track, and then it brings you straight back into like the 90s. This does not do that.
No.
It really complements the whole soundtrack epic movie feel of the production. It's just a different way to bring value to it.
Absolutely. Stuff Money real quick, featuring Beneficial Lord. They say there's no money like dope money. Heavy drums, more bappy type of track. Treat the raw like a whore. I love that what he's talking about on there and how Beneficial Lord fits in perfectly has that sound. Now it's not the highlight on here, but it's a track that I could go back to. Let's talk about Zing Spirits. He was a teen before he became a Zing. Listening to this album and listening to some of the stuff that is said on here kind of makes me uncomfortable. Kind of makes me like, fuck. Like really? Like, but again, that's what you said it at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it, right?
Yeah.
It's those specific thing. It's filthy. It's gory. It's almost like, dude, I feel bad.
Yeah.
Do I feel bad for Dun or do I feel bad for the Zings? But the Zings keep calling me back. I used to have a Zing shoot up in my car. It's things like that to me that stand out to me that makes that storytelling a lot more emotional, a lot more emotionless at points. And then there's like the beat switch to a more church theme, like he's on a highway to hell or stuck between heaven and hell. DeevoDaGenius is able to do that with his production. We are only halfway through with Pop Print, and this was the surprise to me. Featuring Flames Malik.
How was it a surprise?
I didn't look at the features.
Okay.
I didn't look at the features.
I was like, if you see the feature, there's no reason to be surprised.
No. I didn't. I'm not going into this album saying, hey, Flames Malik, who has the album of the year, is going to be on here. But when I heard him, I was like, I wonder what Malenko thinks. Did we just add the grittiest shit on an album?
I think Malenko fucking loves that track. That's what I think. I haven't spoken to him about it, but I think he fucking loves it. We're all Flames Malik fans on this podcast. It's unanimous. It's never been up for debate. And whenever I heard this, I was like, and I saw the feature, I was like, oh man, I wish Malenko was on the podcast. I wish I could just get his opinion. And I know he'd be like, while I'm talking, he'd be doing ad libs in the background and doing his own little thing.
No, it was a great surprise. I think it fits super well. I love it where it's placed on the album. Song 7, Flame Malik does his thing. Hearing him with Dun Dealy is amazing. I made my stamp. What does he say? I made my stamp like something with the Pop Print, and I just loved it. We get into Third Route, which gives a more energetic feel. More of that feed the family type of beat. I wish we had Feed the Family on the song. I wish we had Top Hooter on here. I wish we had Sheikh Hanif on here. I know we have Boy Rock twice on this album, and we'll get into it, but I wish we had Boy Rock on here too. This was a Feed the Family beat. But sometimes wanting something won't transition to it. He did a great job on here. He did a great job on here.
And also he might, I think there's value to waiting and building up to something. And I think if he could release like 3 albums, like 3 solo albums, and every time like just have a little feature here and there and have that track where like it's a Feed the Family kind of beat and he keeps building to it, then the 4th time that he drops his solo project, he's going to have that song and then they'll be on there. It'll have that much more impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. North Side of Brockton featuring Boy Rock. Again, heavier drums on here. The piano keys that stick out. Boy Rock does his thing. You want a high energetic type of beat. You want to kind of shift away from the intensity of a record. Put Boy Rock on there. Put Boy Rock on there and he's going to shine. He does a great job on here. And he fits super perfectly. Shout outs to DeevoDaGenius again with the production.
Absolutely.
On here. Adding those keys makes everything. Life of Zing and Tony Kukoc. Again, Boy Rock's second appearance on here. Love how those songs flow into one another. Again, more energy, a live type of beats. There's bass, there's drums. I found Tony Kukoc feels more Miami type of vibe.
Yeah, it's a little bit brighter for sure.
So great, just great job. Tusi Sample. featuring Danielson and Blue Hill Bill. Here, go.
No, you're hey. I could see the tension, Steven.
It's not my favorite track on here,
But there's a
but
but.
hearing Danielson with a different, I feel like it doesn't sound like Danielson. His voice sounds raspier, more gritty, like he smoked 15 packs of cigarettes before he did his verse.
Yeah.
It's like he almost said, fuck, I listened to the rest of the album. Oh shit, how am I supposed to show up on here? Here, let me go smoke 15 packs of cigarettes and fit right into the thematic of it. And you know what? I love hearing, you don't really hear a lot of some artists sometimes, you hear them once in a blue moon together, but getting a Feed the Family, getting Blue Hill Bill, who a lot of people might not be familiar with, it might be difficult to get into Blue Hill Bill because of the intensity and the sound of his voice. But this song makes so much sense, and Danielson fit in perfectly.
Absolutely.
It was clutch.
Yep.
Clutch.
Yeah. It adds so much value, especially being like very much at the end of the album. It just adds that thing of like, you didn't know you needed it until you needed it kind of thing. Like, I didn't know I needed a Danielson and Blue Hill Bill feature until they gave it to me. I was like, yes, that now I get it. That's the cherry on the sundae. It's because the album, in a lot of ways, like I said, it feels very soundtrack. It feels very like epic and triggers emotions, but the subject matter is gritty. But Dun Dealy doesn't necessarily have like that gritty, grainy kind of like tone to him.
That it's always the same.
That it's kind of like always the same. He does his thing though, very charismatic. But like the subject matter being so gritty, I feel like needs kind of like that gritty presence. And I feel like the Danielson and Blue Hill Bill, it gives you that. It just scratches that little itch that you didn't know you had.
Yeah. And then we end off with Halfway Clean, which we're not really halfway clean, but we're halfway clean on the song. Featuring, I don't know if it's Tega or Tiga. Again, I apologize. Great way to end it off, but there's a bar on here that sticks with me. And as we get through the end of the album, you could tell that there's a difference than what we got at the beginning, what we got into the middle. It's a lot more lively. The bars, the storytelling is still vicious, is still in your face, but there's less intensity to it because of the production. But he says on here, thank the Lord I got money for war. And I found it was a perfect way to just close off the album because it stuck with my head. I thank the Lord I got money for war. And if there's another thing that they did brilliantly is the end of the album, the phone is still vibrating. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You got the devil on one shoulder and you got the angel on the other shoulder. I love this record. DeevoDaGenius's production is a standout on here. Dun Dealy's storytelling is a standout on here. You never get bored throughout the album with the subject matter and the storytelling.
Yeah, and the production keeps you engaged. The tracks bleed into one another really, really well. They all follow each other really, really well. There's no, I don't know how to put this. There's no significant difference between the tracks that follow each other, but there is an energy shift from the beginning in the album to the end of the album, and the way that he produced it and layered those tracks together, like there's a build up to the end of that album, to that energy. It starts off always being like a little bit more darker. There's suspense. There's kind of like tension there. There's a lot of keys in the earlier part of the album, like those background keys that add that kind of like that tension, that kind of like uneasy feeling that you get. And the subject matter is also uneasy to begin with. And then as you progress towards the back end of the album, it starts picking up a little bit. It starts being a little livelier, not necessarily more positive, but it starts being a little bit more unapologetic, I should say. And the way that everything was mixed, produced, layered, the track list on this from the first song all the way to the last, it follows a clear path, a clear line. There's no such thing as like, oh, track number 2 or track 3 should have been at the end of the album and track 12 should have been at the beginning. There's none of that. Everything bleeds into the whole thing, and it adds to that movie kind of feeling of like it tells a story from A to Z, from start to finish. You know, the album is a clear start and a clear end. And there's nothing in the middle that sways away from that kind of like storytelling aspect of it as well. And I think that's value. That's how you produce an album. That's how you produce a cohesive project, and a project that stands the test of time. Is there like a wave that you're kind of riding toward throughout the album, and especially on a storytelling album, especially with a storyteller like Dun Dealy. It's a lot different whenever you get a project where, like the Action Figure project, let's say, where it's less storytelling and it's just bars and just big boy talk. You could kind of like get away with having different wavelengths and like peaks and valleys on an album. But whenever it's so storytelling focused, the production needs to follow that path of start to finish. And this album is a great showcase of that.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to give your score?
Yeah, I think this is an 8.5 on 10.
Whoa!
Yeah. Other than the subject matter, once again, other than the subject matter, which I don't get, I didn't grow up listening to this kind of subject matter. I grew up listening and still listen to this day to heavier subject matter, and especially in metal music. It's not all rainbows and sunshines.
I like rainbows and sunshines.
But it's a lot more introspective in metal music. It's all about like the struggles of the self. And in hip hop, they often talk about struggles, but it's, in this case, it's struggles of addicts and Zings, and also his struggle of trying to do the right thing, but also doing the thing that he's good at. And it's very different. It's very different. But with that being said, this album was because I've prepared for it with the previous album, his previous album, which was Cortina. On this one, I feel like I was much better equipped to hear that subject matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
If I would have never heard anything from him, and then I would have dove into the subject matter, I would have still probably had my reserves. I still do have my reserves, but Cortina was so heavy and aggressive on that subject matter and being so unapologetic about it that it kind of like prepped me for. I knew this was going to be the subject matter. That the cover of the album also, the cover of the album is it tells you pretty much what it's going to be about, but I was ready for it. And I think a lot of times the reason why I dislike albums is because I'm just not ready for it. I'm just not ready for either the sound, or I'm not ready for that type of production, or I'm not ready for that subject matter. In this case, I knew what I was going into, and it was a lot more enjoyable for me.
Absolutely. I'm going to go with an 8 on 10. I loved Cortina. Cortina is still my favorite project from Dun Dealy. What I love about this project, first and foremost, is the production from DeevoDaGenius, and how DeevoDaGenius is telling us a story from song 1 till the end of the album with song 13. He kind of tells us the story. Dun Dealy just puts the words together, and it blends in super, super, super well. Honestly, I don't know. They're from the same area. Mm-hmm. They might have been together in the studio. That's how good the production and the vocals and everything sounds together. Mm-hmm. They did a great job. For me, I'm a fan of Dun Dealy. I'm a fan of Feed the Family. I love the subject matter. I'm a sucker for that subject matter. To me, it's like watching a movie. To me, I am more interested every time that subject matter is brought forth to me, but it's also how it's presented to me.
Yeah.
Right? The presentation of this project is great. Okay? When you look at the cover, you're looking at the cover, it's like you're about to put in a VHS or a DVD or a Blu-ray and watch a movie.
Mhm.
You know, it feels like I'm going to watch New Jack City. It feels like I'm watching something that just captivates me. And a project like this captivates me. Cortina captivated me. This to me is like a part 2 of that. It's like a number 2 to it. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yep. Dude, I feel the exact same way. While
Right?
you were talking, I was thinking about asking you.
Right?
Cortina feels like the in your face, I don't care kind of drug talk of like, I'm doing it for the money. This one feels a little bit more nuanced of like, I still do what I do. I'm not quite happy I'm doing what I do, but like, I still do it. I'm curious in terms of that cell phone vibration in the background. I'm curious if his third project is him maybe a little bit more vulnerable about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, like him truly maybe digging into that more remorseful side of it, that more, a more repenting side of things. He brings up the Lord quite a bit in this album as well. Like that cell phone ringing, is it the Zings? Does he have anything to say to them? Is it maybe his conscience is supposed to be that cell phone ringing of like, is he truly doing the right thing? How long is he going to keep doing this thing? I'm curious in terms of the third project he's going to drop, how he's going to approach it, because this one felt like a more nuanced version of Cortina. It felt very much like a part 2, but a very much more nuanced version of it. So now I'm curious to see, is he going to keep going in that trajectory, and what are we going to get with the third one? And that's making me really curious.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, these two did an amazing job together, man. I tip my hat off to Dun Dealy and DeevoDaGenius, and I think every listen, I love the project more and more. As to where it's an 8 today, it could be an 8.5. Down the line, when we do our review at the end of the year, it could be a 9. I don't know where it's going to be. This is just a project that is going to be in my heavy rotation.
Yeah.
Thank you for a project like this. Dun Dealy, DeevoDaGenius, Zingtones. Make a CD, because I need this CD in my collection. On that note, Derek, it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Always.
Number 2, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the All Time Podcast, what are you waiting for? Derek shaved his head because he wants to be part of a cult like the Straight Edge Society. He wants to grow his hair back, but just only if you like and subscribe. The All Time Boys are here to give you nothing but the best in hip-hop reviews and hip-hop interviews. On that note, we are out. Until next time, peace.